We've got Brandon Ionata here. He's the VP of Fabricate. That's out of Great Tech Group.
Exactly.
Awesome. So, Brandon, how's the show going?
Really well, actually. It's been a great show for us. There's a lot of interest around technology and software in particular, so it's a good place for us to be.
Very cool. Tell me a little bit about your product before we jump in.
Yeah, absolutely. So under Fabricate, we have a couple of different products. Our main product that we're demonstrating here today, or this week rather, is our Truss product line, which is a Revit-based application for the framing industry, essentially. Light gauge steel, light wood framing, and the premise is really to use your architectural Revit model as a basis to do all of your detail work and output everything straight out to fabrication. So, 2D panel drawings, machine code, cut lists, material takeoff, the rest of it.
Yeah, that's great. Have you had some interesting conversations and kind of found ways that you can solve people's problems?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I think, as a whole, the offsite industry is pretty underserved by software. I think you probably see a lot of that. So it's, for me, I like problem solving. It comes pretty natural to me. So I think that there's a lot of companies out there today that are using, software is 20, 30 years old in some cases, struggling, and, everybody wants to scale. You can't scale if the main tool that you're using is not scalable in this industry. So it's a lot of interesting problems to solve today. Yeah, 100%.
Sure. When we think about innovation in this space, I think we're thinking a lot about it from a software perspective.
Yeah.
But a lot of times in the manufacturing world, software has to meet hardware at some point.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you've got to put the digital files that you have into real outputs that somebody uses and puts in their home or their business.
Yeah.
And so kind of what's the end product look like for you guys and what you're trying to get out of your software?
Yeah, so for us, our goal is really providing a purpose-built tool for this industry that provides you an end-to-end workflow that is agnostic, right? So you see a lot of companies that are, here today, for instance, that are providing some pretty strong business tools, but they force you into, their business model essentially, without going too deep into it.
The walled garden is what I keep referring to it as.
Absolutely, right. And these days, it's not what what companies want to do, right? They want to be masters of their own domain. So it opens the door to businesses like us that can provide them those types of tools, those business process tools, not just design tools, not just fabrication tools, but something that's going to manage their whole business end to end. So that's really what we're focused on.
And specifically, you're focused on cold form steel as kind of a primary product for trusses.
Yeah, so we do focus on a cold form steel product for trusses. Our cold form focus really came from when we got started. We started in the business in 2008, and the home building market just absolutely plummeted then, right? So our main interest at that point came from, a lot of large GCs, self-performing contractors that are doing, wall partitions, that sort of thing. And we just kind of started moving out into the cold form industry and seeing that there was a major lack of truss design software for cold form. So we threw ourselves at it and developed something over, I think, about a year and a half, 2 year, process, and put that out in the market. And today it's one of the really only kind of universal, again, agnostic cold form steel truss design softwares out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then on the wood side, what do you guys do there?
So wood, we focus mostly on floor framing, wall framing, panelization, volumetric output files. We've stayed away from the wood. So when we saw you guys, that's why I got all excited. Looking at this product, because I think that's absolutely fantastic. That's something that's been lacking in the industry for a long time. So
yeah, it's definitely a big undertaking, and especially if you're going to try to compete, it gets tricky fast.
Absolutely.
I'm curious, when we talk about the broader industry, the broader building industry, you have Revit, you have Hierarch, several of these companies that are allowing you to design your entire building in a lot of detail, and sometimes that gets lost in the process of going to fabrication.
Yeah.
Some of those details aren't necessary, others of it are just impossible to translate.
Yeah.
So what are some of the challenges that you see in that world, and some of the things that you're trying to solve?
Yeah, I mean, so it's a good question, and it's been a big challenge, right? When we started in Revit, so we were actually the first commercial application, third-party application for Revit that was released. And there was not much of an API that existed when we started programming in Revit, right? So we had to be a little bit clever on the way that we approach things. There's definite challenges, especially when it comes to the fine detail. And we had a lot of things that we completely failed with because we were trying to put so much detail on a Revit model that it just completely crashed, right? So we realized that we really had to look at this from two different angles, right? There's an aspect of framing detailing that needs to happen in a coordinated model. But then there's a lot of fabrication details that just have no business there. So if you're thinking about panelization, for instance, and you look at all the machinery around us in these wall lines, they're all nailing things, they're routing out, sheathing, and some of them place glue line, and a whole bunch of other things happen. And the details for that don't need to be in a Revit model, for instance, right? So what we did, and the way that we approached it, is that we separated these two things out. So we have the important, coordination, collaboration details in the Revit model, and then when it comes to the absolutely, minute, very fine-grained details of fabrication and what's happening at the machine level, we pull that out and we build from a cloud platform that allows us to manage all of that in a 3D environment that's very light, browser-based, easy to access, and you don't need to be a real CAD operator to make that happen. So, what that allows us to do is say, okay, you have your front office people, and you have your fabrication, your shop floor people, and the shop floor people use the shop floor tool, which allows them to place those nailing lines, make the small adjustments to the fabrication files in a 3D atmosphere before it goes out to the machine. So that's one of the things.
And it's using the same source of truth.
It's exactly, that's the big thing. It's using that same source of truth, and it's communicating with the model. So it's a real important piece.
Yeah, we've talked a little bit about BIM with a few other folks, and obviously it's, depending on where you go, it's a little bit of a buzzword.
Yeah.
People, like to talk about it and reference it, like, even for us, we've talked a lot about BIM integrations.
Yeah.
But the devil is in the details, and it's really hard to get it right. And programs don't always talk well to each other. So finding those opportunities for collaboration is something that we're really focused on and excited about, and thinking through, okay, what are the things that we can provide that others can?
Yeah.
And so are there opportunities for software to talk well with each other and stay in sync, or even just reference the same models? So we're really excited about the work you guys are doing, and I know we talked a little bit last night, but just the ability to even speak the same language and understand where each other are coming from, it's been cool.
Yeah, it is.
Well, thanks so much for stopping and talking.
No problem. Thanks for having me.